All right, this one's going to be pretty crazy, guys. First, before I dive into this, I want to make it very clear that I'm not trying to state that I know facts or that I have some secret information. I'm simply giving my opinion and relaying information from the Sean Ryan podcast. The last thing I want is some people in suits knocking on my front door or some cars parked out in front of my house every night. So I'm not trying to state that I know facts. I'm just relaying information from this show and giving my uneducated opinion on it. So this one's about the Sean Ryan podcast with Sam Shoemate. Now, those that don't watch the Sean Ryan podcast, highly recommend it. One of my favorite podcasts out there. I put it up with Rogan's, to be honest. So on this show, he's got Sam Shoemate, who's a retired U.S. Army intelligence officer. And Sam received an email on December 31st, New Year's Eve, from Matthew Livelsberger. Now, for those of you that don't know Matt, I'm assuming you all do, but if you don't, he is the Tesla bomber outside the Trump Tower, or supposedly he's the guy. So anyway, Sam goes into this about receiving an email from Matt Livelsberger on December 31st about information that he has on two topics. One, on the drones, and two, war crimes that were covered up in 2019. He goes on to say that he believes China's poised to attack the Northeast and that he's got verified information about some war crimes that happened in Afghanistan overseas in 2019 that were covered up, and that he wanted to get this information out. So he was trying to get on the biggest platforms. Sam's got a pretty big following on Instagram. He was trying to get on Rogan. He actually emailed Sean Ryan. Sean just didn't see it in time. Wanted to get on Fox News. He made it abundantly clear that he needed to get this information out before January 1st. And I'm going to get into that, and these guys talk about this later on on the clips that I'm going to show you. But it's pretty crazy. So this first part, it shows you the email that Sam did receive from Matt. And just before anyone gets into this, know that the FBI came out and confirmed that this email was real and that this email did come from Livelsberger. So let's break down this first part. Give it a listen.
So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m. That is Tuesday. He said, "In case I do not make it to my decision point or onto the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones," he puts that in quotes, he says drones, "is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPSEN, that's Operation Center, our OPSEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they used the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comm system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive V-bid." Let me pause right there for a second. So he says a massive V-bid. When I was talking to the FBI yesterday, they didn't know what a V-bid was. I had to explain what that acronym meant, literally.
You fucking serious?
Dead serious. I said it twice, and he goes, "You said that word V-bid. Can you tell me what that is?" For your audience, a V-bid, for your audience who has not been in the GWAT for the last 20 years, a V-bid is a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. In layman's terms, a car bomb, what we saw at Trump Tower. So, backing up, he says, "I am armed and have a massive V-bid. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me."
Let me stop real quick. First off, the China drones, that's terrifying. It scares the daylights out of me. I don't really know what to say about that other than, if you really think about it, it's believable and terrifying. But what I want you to pay attention to is Matt is stating that he wants to go into Mexico, that the FBI or Homeland Security or someone's following him, but they won't make a move on him because they know that he has a massive VBID, meaning that he is stating in this right here in this email that he has a massive car bomb. What went off at Trump Tower in Vegas was not a massive car bomb. So remember that.
Here's where he gets into the other stuff. And this is where we had to redact the names. Your producer redacted the names. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civcas, that's civilian casualties, that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA, an agent, redacted, of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with, redacted, IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. Redacted commander at the time, redacted, can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. Then he says, for vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger, an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110, that's 1st Battalion, 10th Special Forces Group. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP, USAP access.
What is USAP? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is. But I checked his credentials on LinkedIn. So that was the first thing I did. I went to his LinkedIn page. First thing I noticed was all of his bona fides were in place. He has all the UAS training from USASOC and everything else. And so I said, okay, at least the guy knows what he's talking about with drones. That was a very rough dig into the guy. But my issue was I couldn't validate or verify any of this information. And I told him that. And how I responded to him was in a subsequent email. I said, this is obviously a very big deal, but I don't have anything to verify this information with. Talking about gravitic propulsion systems without evidence just makes me another UFO talking head. Like, I'm not going to go on my social media page and start talking about UFOs and anti-gravity systems and everything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Obviously, he was in the military and served. And the thing that he was talking about in 2019, we pulled a report. This is from October 9th, 2019. UN report find alleged drug facilities were not lawful target airstrikes caused significant civilian casualties. The United Nations Special Report, which examines the impact on civilians of the United States airstrikes on alleged drug processing facilities on 5 May 2019 in Afghanistan, determines the operation caused a large number of civilian casualties. The report also examines the legal framework applicable to this incident. In June 2019, the UN Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, together with representatives of the Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission, conducted a site visit to areas impacted by the strikes in Farah Province, Bakwa District, as part of its extensive fact-finding into the 5 May incident. The UN verified 39 civilian casualties, among them 14 children, 1 woman, from multiple airstrikes on more than 60 sites that the United States Afghanistan identified as drug production facilities in Bakwa District and in parts of neighboring Delaram District of Nimruz Province. Moreover, the UN is working to verify credible reports of at least 37 additional civilian casualties, the majority of whom were women and children. Although airstrikes on the alleged drug processing facilities had taken place before, this was the first time that UNAMA had received reports of large number of civilian casualties resulting from such an operation. So, very interesting how all this stuff is lining up. What do you think?
All right, real quick, let's recap where we're at before it gets into the real creepy parts. First, it seems like Matt's credentials check out. The FBI confirmed that this email actually did come from Matt and it was legitimate. Matt feels like he's getting followed by the FBI or Homeland Security or someone because he is sitting on some powerful information. Some information that if it did get out, some high officials are going to be getting in some serious trouble. The information that he's sitting on, Sean investigated and found a UN report that confirms that those casualties actually did happen. Now, what I believe happened is the U.S. had some bad intel where they thought they were blowing up these drug facilities, but what actually ended up happening was they ended up killing innocent civilians, many of them being women and children. So they obviously didn't want that information getting out. Matt was their thorn in their side because he was threatening to get this information out. Everything that Matt has said so far seems to check out. So it's really hard not to believe him up until this point. Now, Sean and Sam get into why they think this happened, and it just keeps getting creepier and creepier.
I told the guys downstairs, I jokingly said this to my wife the day that I got that email because I read the email to her. You all have heard the email now. You realize without context of who this person is, how just crazy it sounds. And I told her, I said, well, I mean, I guess if the dude ends up getting rolled up by the feds or he gets killed, we got a story, huh? Man, famous last words, right?
Yeah.
That's so I looked at, and I want to give context on one other thing because I saw this going around on social media. People were saying that his Signal chat, his safety number changed. I don't know if you saw this on X, but it was all over X. Apparently his safety number on Signal changed. He messaged me on Signal. So I went on there to look myself to see if it changed, and sure enough, it had. On January 1st, after the bombing, after he was dead, his safety number changed. That's all he sent me. He said initial contact, and I gave a thumbs up, and his safety number changed at the bottom.
Look at that.
That's after he's dead. I don't know enough about Signal to know why that would happen. Somebody has to have manipulated that, though, and messed with it. Somebody had to have been in his account after the fact and done something for that to have changed.
I don't know much about Signal, but how in the hell does your number change after you're dead? Either someone went into his account that killed him to change it for I have absolutely no idea why, or he changed it. And if he changed it, he's not dead.
What did the FBI say when you contacted him?
Not a lot. I gave him the story on what went down. Was very over the top, telling them, hey, I am being transparent in every way. Feel free to contact me at any time. This is my address, my name. This is why he contacted me. This is my social media page. This is any reason why this could have happened, why this got dumped on me. This is the information. They took it. They were gracious. They were nice to talk to. Mind you, I had to explain what a VBID was, which was disheartening because you're the FBI, but that's another issue altogether. But nothing beyond that. They said, thank you, and we'll be in touch if we have any further questions.
Well, they definitely got in touch with CID.
Yeah, they did.
Because that went all the way to the top of the Army. I mean, it's very obvious why he did this, I think. He wanted to bring attention to the incident in 2019 that got covered up. Do you have any insight, any theories on this?
So we had a running theory downstairs. I've seen all of the conspiracies. I've seen all the questions about, all right, this guy is 20-year Special Forces. He just got done with Team Sergeant time. He is a very qualified and very capable Green Beret. Everybody I've spoken to who knew the guy prior. Yesterday, I spoke to several people, to include his old team leader, who's now Lieutenant Colonel. Said he was fine, nothing out of place. His mental state was not something that anybody was concerned about. His ex-girlfriend posted photos of him bragging about how he got a Tesla and all this other stuff. So stick with me here. Very capable guy, but he loads the Tesla up. A Tesla, which Elon Musk brags about being bulletproof, right? So this is one of his selling points. It's bulletproof. We even saw Joe Rogan shoot an arrow at it and wasn't able to puncture this thing. So he loads up a Tesla knowing that it's going to, not explode like he wants it to with fireworks and a bunch of other junk when he can make a car bomb that's going to level this place. Here's what I think. So the PAO, the Army PAO, is saying that the body inside the cab did not match the DNA of his child. All right. We also know that there was they said he was shot by a Desert Eagle. We know that there was no signature when it rolled up. So nobody shot themselves when it rolled up to it. You would have seen a large signature. Mr. Guns and Gear, he's on X. He goes into this a lot in depth. He's a firearms expert and he talks about this. And there's no signature. So this is what happens. You get a Tesla because you know it can drive itself up to the hotel, the Trump Tower. You put a body in it, roll it up. It's already burned up, or it's already shot, excuse me. You don't want to kill anybody because that's not the message you're trying to send. You're not trying to level the tower or kill a bunch of people. So you load it up with fireworks and a bunch of junk to send a message. And we know that his signal number or his signal safety number changed. That can't be done unless you're inside that signal account.
You know, maybe he changed his number on purpose and switched phones because he obviously was tipped off or conducted his own counter surveillance and caught Homeland or FBI tracking him. And so I think there's a very good possibility that that Matthew Livelsberger might be still alive.
It checks.
So he had two objectives. One, he definitely wanted to bring light to 2019. That obviously affected his code of morals, and the drones.
Yeah.
And he's obviously very worried about World War III, which I think everybody right now. But why Trump Hotel? Why Las Vegas?
Yeah. Conjecture and speculation at this point. I couldn't even tell you. You know, I've heard both sides. I've seen them finding posts from his wife, who's very allegedly, I'm not saying this, I'm just saying what has been put out on social media is very anti-Trump. She has had a number of anti-Trump posts, and then him, who his family say he's a stalwart patriot, Trump supporter, all these other things, which I guess if I had to guess, just in the realm of conjecture again, I would say Trump Tower, it draws more media, more fanfare. Was this an assassination attempt? That kind of stuff. So you get more press, more media pulling into it because it is such a significant namesake, if you will. But at the same time, it was a fireworks display and very little more. And if I'm running with the theory that I proposed a little while ago, he didn't want to hurt anybody. He wanted to send a message.
No, I mean, it's very obviously, look, the guy's got great tradecraft. You know, I mean, he changed his signal number, if that was him, or his, whatever the contact number on signal, 20 plus year in special operations at the highest level, picked a car that's bulletproof to do this. I think, yeah, there definitely wasn't mass casualties. He wasn't trying to hit mass casualties, because otherwise he would have done it at another location as well, or the bomb would have been bigger to take the entire building
I agree.
out. And so this definitely wasn't, in my opinion, this definitely wasn't incompetence.
Another thing to support this. So you got the email. He desperately wanted to talk to you before December 31st. He knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, January 1st was go day. Nobody was pressuring him. At the beginning of this email, we see, first of all, I'm not under duress or hostile influence or control. Okay. So he says that he reached out to you. He was very emphatic that it had to be before December 31st because he was doing this thing on January 1st. For some reason, that was a landmark day to him. Maybe it was just because big day for everybody, January 1st. But he was very emphatic that was the time. And then the thing he was trying to do was, overall, more than anything, was get a message across on the biggest platforms possible. He was trying to talk to Pete Hegseth. Why would you want to talk to the Secretary of Defense? He's trying to blow the whistle on these war crimes. He's trying to say this thing happened, man. Like, I can't live with this anymore. He desperately needed to talk to you, the biggest platform out there. He needed to talk to Fox News. I need to get this message out. That was his overall goal. In everything else, everything I've seen, I have not seen the intended goal was to kill himself or to create a mass casualty event. It is to get this message out. And how can I do that? What is the biggest bang for my buck? How can I get that done? That's what I'm seeing here.
Yeah. It's a damn good point.
Wow. And there we have it. This is such a wild story. I don't even know what to think. You know, what we know is that Livelsberger had some information that was going to put top officials behind bars. He had information about the drones being from China and how they're prepared to attack the Northeast. He was trying to prevent World War III and had some serious information that he wanted to get out on the top platforms in the world, the Rogans, the Fox News. He wanted to get in touch with Pete Hegseth. He had this information he needed to get out before January 1st. He was a qualified Green Beret that by all accounts seemed to be in good mental state. He knew how to blow up. He could have blown up the Trump Tower, no problem, if that's what he was trying to do. But instead, he takes a bulletproof Cybertruck, loads it up with fireworks, knowing damn well that's not going to blow up the Trump Tower. There's a body in there whose DNA does not match Livelsberger's son. So that's a big question mark. There was a bullet hole in that body, but there was no signature of any shots being fired by all the cameras. So you really think this is Livelsberger trying to blow himself up with fireworks inside a bulletproof Cybertruck? It doesn't add up. I think he can be alive. I really, truly think he can be alive. You guys got to watch this podcast. I'm going to post a link in the comments section for you to watch the entire episode. I mean, they go into more stuff about how there's Iranian missiles that have crossed the border and all sorts of wild stuff. But this Livelsberger, man, I can't stop thinking about it. If he's still alive, will we ever know? Inauguration's in a few days. Is he waiting for Trump to get back in office? All I know is that this all doesn't add up. And something seems fishy, and I think he's alive. Tell me what you think in the comments.